for the very first time. This is just me responding to various questions and comments again on various different videos. Kind of chilly nose. Whether we agree, disagree, agree to disagree, it's always good to say your piece. I never censor, so... the 9th of January, 2017. Oh my God, we're already 9 days in. Okay, let's just jump into this. The migrants' problem in Europe was engineered to make people fearful, impose more laws, and start martial law. Everything is coming together. Even Hollywood are making movies to scare people of migrants, like the movie London Has Fallen. Oh, I haven't seen that one. What are the odds a film with content of Islamic terror produced with migrant terror bullshit on the news? I don't want Muslims to migrate to Europe, as well as I don't believe the propaganda that migrants are terrorizing people and raping women. Well, they are. Why all the raping stories emerge now? Why isn't it a problem or the news before? Why now? Because everybody's coming in now. The NWO wants a holy war on the Middle East. That is why it is all about the Greater Israel. And a fear and hatred installed in people in Europe for Muslims, it will go for the Zionist Masons. Think about it. Well, I agree with that statement. Yeah, they're definitely going to use it for the biggest human culture clash in human history, which we'll call the 10th Crusade. And yes, okay, well, when all the Muslims start attacking Israel, because think about it, ISIS never attacked Israel hardly at all, but now that Assad has basically taken back his country to a greater degree, you're starting to see Israel getting attacked by ISIS. And the reason why this is odd is because, think about it, that should have been the goal of ISIS right away, is to wipe Israel off the map. They're jihadists, they're Muslims, they hate Israel, period. I don't know of too many Muslims that like Israel. So their number one goal is to wipe Israel off the map. So why would they bother going after Assad when Israel is right there, they're fully armed, right for the picking? So that tells you how ISIS really was the proxy army for the United States and Israel. But now that that's kind of failed, plan B seems to be, okay, yes, use the migrant crisis to destabilize, and then that way you can get all these crusader nations to put their armies in the Middle East and just kill Muslims left, right, and center until there's either so few left that they can never go against the greater Israel or whatever. Sure, many people see that plan. That's obviously the idea of balkanizing the entire Middle East under the Greater Israel Project was the idea is so that not a single nation can rise up against Israel. That's why they fear Iran so much. It's got its own weapons program. It can be energy efficient to a great degree. So that's what it's all about. But no, to say no one's getting raped, of course, women are getting raped, and these refugees are murdering people. They're just horrible, horrible people coming in. Most of them are North Africans that are creating the problems. But the thing is who's letting them in? This is yes, you got to expatriate these people. I'd like to see it done as peaceful as possible. Best is just cut off the welfare. You'll eliminate probably 85 to 90% of the migrants just by cutting off the welfare, because that's what they're not coming in as refugees. They have no reason to leave their home other than they can get free stuff over there. So they're not going to risk it if you say, okay, that's it. We're repatriating people. We're going to send them back to their country of origin, period. If it's a war-torn country and they're a legitimate refugee, maybe we'll make some whatever exceptions. That's fair. But for the most part, no. Just, if you can't prove you're an actual refugee, go home. There's nothing for you here. And you're starting to see the bit of a sway on that, but it'll be a while before they have it. But who opened the borders? Steins and Bergs. Again, I'm not blaming all Jews, but this is, they're doing it on purpose, right? So, and again, you got 1,200 rabbis in the States talking about how they need to open up the borders to refugees. You've got 14 prominent Jewish groups saying that, yes, you need to open up refugees all around the world. You got Jean-Claude Juncker over there, again, Jewish. Again, it's always Estina Steiner-Berg calling for mass immigration. Remember Noel Ignatieff and Barbara Lerner-Spector. There's more than these people just spilled the beans. That was the only thing. So you see Israeli groups coming in, giving aid in Greece to welcome refugees on the Greek shores. Okay, well, think about it logically. Why don't the refugees go to Israel? It's the safest country, the closest country they can go to, but they don't go there. They haven't taken in one. And this is where the hypocrisy is. So all these prominent Jewish people saying that we need to open our borders everywhere but Israel. And people are picking up on that. So when you say, well, you're just an anti-Semite and anti-Jewish, no, I'm picking on the machinations. This is what they're doing. My opinion doesn't matter on this. This is what they're doing. And because this is what they're doing, this is what's creating the destabilization. So the question is exactly why. Well, martial law does seem to be, if they want a one-world government and a cashless society and all the crazy stuff that they're talking about at Davos and stuff like that, Yeah, that's what they're going to have to do, but they can only get it through brutality. Basically, problem, reaction, solution. Create the problem of all these migrants coming. Oh, well, we have to have cops on every corner. You have it in France now. You've got all these cops everywhere. Oh, well, the cops are quitting, so we're going to have to bring in United Nations peacekeepers. Well, looks like all these countries are failing. We're going to have a one-world government so that we can have a one-world army. And that one-world army can control everything. And then there is no more sovereign countries anymore. But the problem is I don't think that plan's going to fail. Or I don't think that plan is going to succeed, because when push comes to shove, I mean, people are going to remember the politicians that opened the doors. They're going to remember the George Soroses of the world who funded the rafts. They're going to remember the companies that sent their freighters, their ferries back and forth to pick up people. They're going to remember this. Like, these ships are going to be sunk in the harbors very soon, by probably vigilantes, I would assume. Why? Because every time, again, gunboats in the Mediterranean, they're coming, we sort of saw the beginnings of it last year, but I think we're going to see in 2017, particularly around spring when the migrants start really flooding in. Because if they're saying that they're going to let in 1 million migrants this year to Germany, that means they're going to 10 times that is going to come in. And that also means that, the people are going to be freaking out. They're going to be, I think the beginnings of the 10th Crusade War starts now. Now, while people are distracted by the 10th Crusade, there's going to be a handful of people that actually know who made it happen. So this is why, like I say, and again, if you think I'm a racist and bigot or whatever, I can't warn people any more than this. If you are not a European, a white European, within the next 2 to 4 years, it will be dangerous for you to live in Europe, because the one bad apple theory, one bad apple spoils a whole bunch. I can't warn any more. Have a plan B to get out of Dodge, because once the battles really ensue, they're going to overthrow government. If Merkel wins the election in Germany, trust me, there's going to be an uprising in Germany, and it's going to be a very violent one. It probably won't go civil war right away, but it probably will work that way. And yes, you will have wars probably within European countries. The Israelis would love that. You can clearly tell. I mean, just listen to these people talk. They hate everybody. These rabbis out there, just listen to them talk. I'm not saying it's all of them, but the ones that are radical are really deeply radical. And the fact that they're in power now, that's why we see what we see. So when they start to lose power, they're going to double down, and they're already doubling down in a lot of areas. There's only going to be so much time for peaceful coups. The States is going through a peaceful coup now with Trump, if Trump is the real deal. If he's not the real deal, then all bets are off, and you will see a true civil war, 1776 style. I don't know who wins, but a lot of people will die on that. Now in Europe, I think what you're just going to see is such a hyper rise of hyper-nationalists and neo-Nazis, like real neo-Nazis, real racist white people, rising up. That is coming. Like right now, we're being buttered up that every white man's a racist and this and a conqueror and all that. But white people have been the least racist they've ever been in history. But however, once the ball starts rolling and the penguins jump off the iceberg, so to speak, when one jumps in, they all jump in, then you're going to see ethnic cleansing like you wouldn't believe. Something we haven't seen before in history. It'll be all throughout Europe. I do believe it'll probably happen in Eastern Europe first. I would probably predict that the first few crusade battles are going to start in France or Germany first, where, again, what qualifies as a crusade battle, you got dead refugees here, dead nationalists here. They killed each other in the street in a brawl, battle, whatever, purposely. But there has to be bodies on both sides, not just, okay, it was a bar fight and a couple of guys died. No, a real, we met you on the, 7 a.m., we'll meet you on the battlefield kind of thing in the open streets of London or whatever. But the big crusade battle, I still say, will happen in London. However, the genocidal ditches, I think, will happen in probably Poland or in Hungary or Lithuania or someplace like that, or possibly Romania. That's where I think they're going to just, Serbia could be even the canary in the coal mine for there. Well, they'll just round them up and kill them again like they did before. That, I think, is coming. There's no doubt about that. That's coming. Now, the thing is the Greater Israel Project, if we're going to just, I guess, finish up on that, the thing about that is they think that, okay, well, people will hate Muslims so much that, yeah, they'll go into the Middle East and just, we can kill them at will. That will happen to a degree, sure. But people know who put these policies in play. So, no, this could be Albert Pike's, Zionism versus Christian versus Islam, which it could be that, trying to, the three world wars of Albert Pike, because that plan seems to be playing out exactly as he said. So people said, oh, well, he had a vision of it. No, maybe he was just describing what the plan was going to be. You know what I mean? So, yeah, there's a lot of takeaways from this, too. What I say is if you see it coming, get out of the way. And truth bombs, I think, are the best way to get peaceful on this. Point out the people who do it. The problem is the way they're cracking down now, because they can't go full, like the Zionists can't go full Bolshevism and round people up, put them against the wall, and shoot them like they did in 1917 to 1919. They can't do that anymore because the people will revolt right away, plus the people are armed in a lot of countries. But what they can do is they can fire you from your job for political correctness. They can, cut your pay, and if we get a global one world currency, which will be probably a digital currency, then they can, fine you for hate speech and all kinds of stuff like that. So that's how they're going to try to quail dissent. But I don't think that's going to work either. I believe this plan is going to backfire, which will lead to the 110th expulsion of the Jews. Because, again, nobody, after this 10th crusade really kicks off, nobody's going to be pro-Israel. Israel will not have any friends. I don't think it has any friends in the world truly now. Yes, the governments are propped up by Israel or whatever. You've got like the ADL and stuff like that in the States, and the AIPAC and stuff like that. Sure, they run the United States. That's pretty. You've got like 300 out of the 500 Congress members are Zionists, or Jewish at least. So yes, we can see their interest is there. But at that's just a handful of people versus the many. And they have to rely, again, you have the elites up here, you have the military and law enforcement to protect against all these people. It's just, no, it's not going to happen. Especially, again, it's that penguin effect. Once they jump off the iceberg. That's why I always call for peace and rule of law, and the most peaceful way to back out of this. There's going to be pain no matter which way we go, but cut off the welfare to the migrants. Most of them will stop. Repatriate. You're on welfare. Okay, well, we're going to send you back to your country of origin. They can take their time with it, whatever. Just repatriate, a few hundred people a week, whatever. Take the elderly and the women and children first, send them back home, with their husbands or whatever. The families will go first. The young fighting age men, well, round them up, put them in camps. That's all you can really do, because if you don't, they're just, look what they're doing to France. You can't let these people run wild. You got to round them up, put them in camps. Once they're in camps, leave them in the camps until you vet who they are, or they decide to go home. However, you don't let them go home until you know who they are. So once people see them, and it'll be costly to keep these people in camps that they can't leave. And if they riot, you crack down on them. You put them in solitude confinement. You treat them like they're prisoners. And that way, if they are legitimate, and a lot of them you'll be able to process quite quickly. If they're legitimate, you'll process them quite quickly. But it will be such a deterrent that more won't come, which will also save lives on. Yes, some of these people are greedy and they're going into another country, but they're dying for welfare. They're going across the Mediterranean and drowning, dying to get free stuff. Like, yes, I get it. Some of them are just desperate, sure. Some of them are just stupid. Fine, you can't fix stupid. But it doesn't mean these people need to die because they're so stupid. Save them from themselves. It's called compassion of humanity. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, so just don't give them an incentive to come here. That will work probably 90% of the problem. The other 10%, well, that one is going to be long and strenuous and whatever. But yeah, they need to repatriate people. That's not going to be popular amongst the refugees. But once they become a demographic majority, like you see in London, again, you've got a London mayor that is a Muslim. This man is the first stepping stone to the next radical Muslim mayor, and then the next radical Muslim mayor. And you know what I mean? Like, he might be the so-called moderate now, but that's how they infiltrate. Iran used to have women walking around in bikinis. So did Lebanon. Think about that. Anyway, I'll leave it at that. So I know maybe what I say is not popular, but you see it happening. You clearly see it happening. When does it all play out? I don't know. Does it play out in 10 years? Does it play out in the 2 to 4 years? I don't know. I think we're going to see a lot of bizarre things just this year. So it doesn't really matter whether I make these videos or not. These things are, you got to prepare for these things, because they're coming your way regardless of what side of the fence you're on. The jihadists are saying they're coming for the Crusader nations. Nationalists are rising. They're going to be turning into real crusaders. And yes, they will be racist about it. They will attack people that have nothing to do with things. Sikhs are going to be targeted just like Muslims. Why? Because it's one bad apple theory. You're already starting to see that. So I'm not calling for it. I'm just saying, I'm pointing it out. You're already starting to see it. You know, I can't warn you any more than that. That's the best I can do. I'm just one man. The rest you got to think for yourself. So anyway, I'll leave it at about that. So if you like this kind of content, please consider making a donation to the channel. Links down below. Thank you so much to everybody who has. Next to that, rate, subscribe, share, comment, like. Be true to yourself. Be true to others. Always do the right thing, and have yourselves a great day. G'day, hi, and welcome. All right, Q&A, whatever it is. For those of you joining me for the very first time, this is just me responding to various questions and comments again on various different videos. Kind of chilly nose. Whether we agree, disagree, agree to disagree, is always good. Say your piece. I never censor, so... the 9th of January, 2017. Oh my God, we're already 9 days in. Okay, let's just jump into this. The migrants' problem in Europe was engineered to make people fearful, impose more laws, and start martial law. Everything is coming together. Even Hollywood are making movies to scare people of migrants, like the movie London Has Fallen. Oh, I haven't seen that one. What are the odds film with content of Islamic terror produced with migrant terror bullshit on the news? I don't want Muslims to migrate to Europe, as well as I don't believe the propaganda that migrants are terrorizing people and raping women. Well, they are. Why all the raping stories emerge now? Why isn't it a problem or the news before? Why now? Because everybody's coming in now. The NWO wants a holy war on the Middle East. That is why it is all about the Greater Israel. And a fear and hatred installed in people in Europe for Muslims, it will go for the Zionist Masons. Think about it. Well, I agree with that statement. Yeah, they're definitely going to use it for the biggest human culture clash in human history, which we'll call the 10th Crusade. And yes, okay, well, when all the Muslims start attacking Israel, because think about it, ISIS never attacked Israel hardly at all, but now that Assad has basically taken back his country to a greater degree, you're starting to see Israel getting attacked by ISIS. And the reason why this is odd is because, think about it, that should have been the goal of ISIS right away, is to wipe Israel off the map. They're jihadists, they're Muslims, they hate Israel, period. I don't know of too many Muslims that like Israel. So their number one goal is to wipe Israel off the map. So why would they bother going after Assad when Israel is right there, they're fully armed, right for the picking? So that tells you how ISIS really was the proxy army for the United States and Israel. But now that that's kind of failed,